Today we've got something pretty spicy coming. If you liked our Pixar video, this one's for you. This is ranking all 8 Harry Potter movies.
Nate didn't grow up with Harry Potter.
So my number 8 is Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue.
That's only one place off from where I have Deathly Hallows 1, so I find it a little hard to argue with.
And there's very little I absolutely despise about Part 1. The only problem is it feels really slow and it feels really boring. I love the animated section explaining what the Deathly Hallows is. And I also really like how they handle like Dobby's passing. Like there's a lot of really like memorable moments in that movie. But in general, I feel like tighter cut with both the movies together and skip about half of the first Deathly Hallows movie.
It felt like kind of nice to slow down a little bit in the series and just have a lot of character development between our trio, because they're together, of course, in part 2, but this is kind of the last time they're all taking a lot of screen time together.
That's also part of my problem with the movie is they're not within the 4 walls of Hogwarts almost at all in the movie. And I know, it's like the later movies and the stakes are much higher than going to class and school and things like that. But that to me is a lot of the charm of the Harry Potter movies. And there's none of that charm in this movie. And it feels almost too gritty for what it is. At the end of the day, it's a story about wizards and witches. It's like really cheesy. And when they try to take it too seriously, I don't understand how the stakes affect the other people of the world. I only understand how it affects the wizards and things like that. I just wish it embraced what it is a little more.
But then in Deathly Hallows 1, we are at Bill Weasley and Fleur Delacour's wedding, I believe. And the same thing happens after the Minister of Magic leaves. They are attacked by Death Eaters, and then Harry, Ron, and Hermione go on the run and start hunting down Horcruxes and all that. But then also, after they perform the little heist at the Ministry and get the locket from Umbridge, they're on the run for almost the whole movie after that. And we don't really see the consequences of Voldemort or the Death Eater's rise to power. And I think that this is an issue with the whole series, but if they dropped the ball anywhere in particular, they really did it with Deathly Hallows 1.
When they're getting chased by the guys in the forest, that's like one of the very few sequences with shaky cam that I actually really like and thought it was really well done, because they didn't add any music to it, and I think that felt a little more anxious watching it. I thought it was pretty good.
There's a lot to like in Deathly Hallows 1, but I completely understand it making the bottom of the list here. There's a lot of places where it feels like they really could have done something here, especially if they were going to split up the story like this. It feels like there is a lot of time that they're just wasting.
Every other movie on here, even if I don't think it's as memorable or as good, I think they all have a clear beginning, middle, and end. And that's what I think really works about the Harry Potter movies is you didn't have to wait for the next one to come out to feel satisfied. At the end of all these movies, sure, you're wanting more, but at least all the like plot points they bring up get resolved, and nothing gets resolved at the end of this one. Unless you were Josh and you were just really hoping Dobby would die.
I quite like Dobby in part 2 or part 1 more than Chamber.
Dobby's a little more self-aware and Deathly Hallows Part 1, like he's like a funny little guy. But I do.
Yeah, and he's actually doing things to like help the main protagonist.
Dude, I don't know what you're talking about. Dobby's like one of the best.
But I can't disagree with Josh when he says that he didn't really do anything to help Harry. In the first half of Chamber of Secrets, everything bad that's happening to Harry is Dobby's fault.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny, but I still love Dobby.
Josh, you're up with number 7.
All right, so my number 7 is Half-Blood Prince.
I'm going to hit that with a veto, and I'm going to say I think that Order of the Phoenix deserves to be here more than Half-Blood Prince does.
I have Order of the Phoenix at my number 7, so I'd agree with you. I'm voting for Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, Order of the Phoenix was my number 6. Yeah. It didn't move much.
Yeah, that's where mine is.
It's David Yates' first time directing the series, and it really shows. I wasn't aware of that when I was a...
David Yates.
David Yates, the entire story of Order of the Phoenix, which, to be honest, wasn't a great story in the first place.
Hey, Terry, you want some? This bitch empty.
But I feel like there was just so much more that they could have done with it. But none of them really feel inconsequential until we get to Order of the Phoenix. Especially as good as Goblet of Fire is, the tone of Half-Blood Prince is what could have made Order of the Phoenix great.
Order of the Phoenix was the one that made me stop reading the series for 2 years. It has 870 pages. And Deathly Hallows, the conclusion, the one that was split up into 2 movies, has 759.
Yeah, I would agree entirely as somebody else who's read all the books. Josh, do you have a case for why Half-Blood Prince should take the 7th spot?
The ending of Half-Blood Prince, when Snape is revealed to be the Half-Blood Prince, it's very underwhelming and doesn't feel like it means anything. And that's the name of the movie. And also the movie's very ugly. I don't know whose decision that was. Maybe just because the book cover is like a dark green. They wanted to do like this greenish tint for the whole movie, but it was just really ugly, and thought it was just a really bad decision aesthetically.
You know what else kind of does that too? The third Lord of the Rings movie has a lot of green in it.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe David Yates was like, this will be our best picture bid. Let's make it green.
Well, also David Fincher's known for having a lot of green tints in his movies, and this was in between 2 of his biggest movies in terms of Academy Award success, being Zodiac and Social Network.
Did David Fincher shadow direct Half-Blood Prince?
And then Disney was like, "Oh, Dead Man's Chest, the Flying Dutchman's going to be green. Our posters are going to be green."
Well, also, it might all be because of Shrek.
It all connects back.
You're right.
Maybe Alden was right. Maybe Shrek 2 should have been our number 1.
Maybe Shrek 2 is the most...
I still think so.
Jory, it's your pick for number 6. What do you think should be the 6th best Harry Potter movie?
The 6th best Harry Potter movie, I have Deathly Hallows 2 on my list.
Whoa, that's a hot take.
Was that a hot take?
No, I also have it as 6th, so I think it's fine.
I think it's fine there, actually. I'm not gonna veto.
As much as I like Deathly Hallows 2 as a conclusion to the series, it's still far from my favorite movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna veto it.
As far as Deathly Hallows 2 goes, from what I can remember of it right now, you've got the Gringotts heist, which was very cool. I liked that a lot. And then you go into the Battle of Hogwarts pretty quickly after that. Harry, Ron, and Hermione end up back at Hogwarts, and they're looking for Rowena Ravenclaw's lost diadem, which is one of the last Horcruxes that they have before they can finally defeat Voldemort. And then it goes into a huge battle right after that. And it's cool. It's great. But I feel like there's not as much fun to be had. And that does come from where it's at in the series. And I think that the beginning is great. And I think that it's a good movie overall. But that's where we're at for me. I really love all of these movies, and this is just the one that I like.
This movie feels like it's 2 acts. It doesn't feel like a full 3. Rewatching it over the years, something still feels lacking as a conclusion. Maybe that's because they split Deathly Hallows into 2 parts, but something just doesn't feel totally complete with that movie for me.
The reason I'm vetoing Deathly Hallows Part 2 is, personally, I really bought the conclusion. I was fine with the way the movie wrapped up. I think that's why I like it so much as a conclusion, is you can tell that all these character arcs are coming to an end, and I really like the way that certain scenes are directed and certain scenes are handled. I love Snape's redemption arc, and I know that's a very controversial thing, especially if we're talking from book to screen adaptation.
Is it?
Yeah, I know plenty of people that hate Snape's redemption.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard a lot against it too.
Yeah, I think that's the best scene of the movie.
I think that this movie has a lot of great scenes that we are perhaps sleeping on. My case for number 6 is Half-Blood Prince. And honestly, I just think Half-Blood Prince is more of a tonal nightmare. And I really think it has a hard time juggling with its tone because, I mean, like, Dumbledore dies at the end of this movie. And the rest of it is like a rom-com, like really stupid movie. And it looks ugly. So really, I think it belongs number 6.
I have to hard disagree. I know I probably have Half-Blood Prince higher than anybody else on this list.
I'm gonna take Nate's side here, and I'll put a vote to Half-Blood Prince being here too.
Okay, let me finish my argument here, Josh. Let me just say a couple of things here, quick.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought we were voting.
And I would argue that it's not as much of a tonal nightmare as you remember it. I think that the first half of the movie is definitely filled with a lot of that juggling that happens when you go from scenes like Hermione getting drunk at the pub and Slughorn being like, "Oh, you and Harry should come to my dinner party sometime," to Katie Bell being cursed by that necklace. It is a little jarring, but I don't think that it hits that same tone for much of the third act. I think that the third act is very well established into being the little bit higher stakes going on, and when the Death Eaters finally come in and invade and Dumbledore is killed, we're far off from any fun and games, and it's been clear like that for a while.
That's my problem, though. It feels like a totally different movie.
The entire series has had those fun and games. Half-Blood Prince is just the one that does it to the most extremes.
I feel like there's always a balance, though, with every movie.
I just don't think it was handled well. I mean, it's really cheesy at the end where we've had like an hour at this point of Ron complaining that his lips are chapped because he's getting so much action. Dumbledore, your headmaster, gets assassinated by Snape, and the only person who sees it is Harry. Like, it's sus, bro. Alden, what's your take?
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, well, you're voting.
No, I think number 6 is
We're
fine.
between Half-Blood Prince or Deathly Hallows 2 for numbers.
Oh, I was agreeing with you, Nate. Sorry.
Can I just say another thing real quick?
Jory, it's your pick now with number 5.
Deathly Hallows 2, I forgot that we didn't even place that.
My number 4 is going to be Goblet of Fire.
Yeah, all right. Veto is used here. This is a hot take, but
It's not Sorcerer's Stone.
Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone.
While I agree that it is a very entertaining movie, I think it lacks a lot of substance, and I think it's after 2 movies that have progressively elevated stakes and the consequences of this amazing magical wizarding world that we have been invited into.
I disagree with the Triwizard Tournament was being too seriously, because you have this 14-year-old kid going into a tournament that's supposed to be for older kids, and this tournament, one of the first things Dumbledore says is in this speech that you could die from it. So I think the character Harry Potter was supposed to take the tournament very seriously, and I think it was a good parallel to how this is one of the only times I feel like they really took advantage that Harry Potter, the character, is a celebrity in this wizarding world.
I take a lot of issue with putting any of these movies over Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, because Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is my personal favorite. I think that it's by far the most impressive movie in the series. I think that it does the most to introduce us to the wizarding world, and of course it does. It's the first one. But at the same time, Harry's introduction to the wizarding world is our introduction to the wizarding world, and nothing that gets introduced into the series later ever feels more magical than even the more mundane things in Sorcerer's Stone, where it's like, oh shit, he gets to have a pet owl. That shit's wild. I wish I got to have a pet owl. Oh shit, Harry has to fight a dragon. That's kind of scary.
Yeah, and you want to talk about Harry feeling like a celebrity. He feels more like a celebrity in Sorcerer's Stone than he does in Goblet of Fire.
He goes from living under a cupboard under the stairs and being shit on by his entire adoptive family to everywhere he goes, everybody knows his name, and he's this mega celebrity. Even the first time he meets Ron, when he's sitting in the station, he's like, "Do you actually have that scar? Like, you're a fucking legend,
Yeah, but
dude."
they introduce it, but I think Goblet of Fire was the first time where they kind of questioned it, where are people close around him going to be jealous?
But that's the thing. I always hated whenever they tried to introduce storylines like, oh, Ron's jealous of Harry, and it's like,
Yeah, that's Ron's character.
I think it fits because Ron's a loser.
He's got a family. He's just the middle class wizard. That's what Ron is. And Harry is this fucking Kardashian level celebrity who
Ron's got a broken stick and like fucks up his spells through the whole entirety of Chamber of Secrets.
he's not a loser, he's poor.
I really don't think we can sacrifice Sorcerer's Stone to elevate Goblet of Fire. I'm sorry.
Nate, can I veto a veto still?
You can still veto a veto, but now it's Goblet of Fire versus whatever you choose to veto.
Cool. Then I'm gonna do what's left.
Chamber of Secrets and Prisoner of Azkaban.
Okay, Chamber of Secrets.
I'm fine with either Chamber of Secrets or Philosopher's Stone, Sorcerer's Stone. Moving forward, I don't find Sorcerer's Stone to be that great of a movie, and I've explained this in the past, but
Yeah, but you haven't really. You've just said that you were forced to watch it.
yeah, that's just part of the disdain, right? I don't like it because as soon as Hagrid gets him, as soon as the brick wall moves and completely just opens up into a doorway, the rest of it is kind of boring to me.
So the entirety of Diagon Alley after that brick wall opens up is boring.
No, I'm saying that's the only part that's not. Like, he goes to Hogwarts, that's cool. Stairs are moving, that's cool, but I don't find it that interesting.
I think that you're going to have a really hard time convincing anybody of that. I don't think that you could call any of these movies dull, including the ones that are on the bottom of the list.
I don't expect to change anyone's mind here. I don't think this movie is that great, and I know for most of you, it's probably going to be top 3.
So, Josh, tell us why Chamber of Secrets needs to go in the number 4 spot.
I think Chamber of Secrets does have a lot of cool, iconic moments. I just like the theming of both Sorcerer's Stone and Goblet of Fire better. I like in Sorcerer's Stone where every part of the trio had something to do and they felt useful. And then in Chamber of Secrets, it was just kind of like, well, Hermione's in the hospital. Ron's there, but he's behind rocks with Lockhart, who lost his memory, and Lockhart is there for some reason. We put him in the chamber. There's just a lot of things where it's just like, for some reason they're doing this. It just felt like there were storylines that I think would have been better. I'm sure were handled better in the book, like Hagrid potentially opening the Chamber of Secrets. I didn't buy it. Even as a kid, I never bought that. I'm like, somebody else opened that. As entertaining as Sorcerer's Stone or as Goblet of Fire. To me, Goblet of Fire is what I want in a Harry Potter movie. I think it's a lot of fun. I think the Triwizard Tournament was a great thing to have for the whole movie. I like that not only it gave us an entertaining plot throughout the film for all of the students. Like, that was something that was talked about throughout Hogwarts, so you felt like the entire school had something to do about it. It's not like with the other things in the other movies where it's kind of focused on that small group of people that know. The whole school knew this was going on, so it felt like Harry was in the spotlight more than ever. And I like that the ending, you see the return of Voldemort. It took 4 movies to get Voldemort in this form, and I thought the way they built up to it, I thought was very cool, because you see hints of it in the beginning. That's how the film starts. Not only are guys like Sirius Black in danger, now students are endangered. Like, this actually happened to a student, and I think Goblet of Fire just did a lot of really cool things. I think it was on our bracket for the highest grossing movie for a reason. I think this was, for a lot of people, when things started to shift in the gear. I think Prisoner of Azkaban was a great start to that, but I think Goblet of Fire was like, okay, I want to see where this continues.
I agree with your assessment of the ending of Goblet of Fire. I think Voldemort coming back is handled very well in that movie. However, for me, where it starts to kind of get muddied up is in the execution of the next movie.
Wouldn't that be a positive for how well Goblet executed that you found Order of the Phoenix disappointing?
All right, Alden, where do you stand between these?
Honestly, I'm with Josh.
I honestly think that if any of these movies are going to be on our list and be considered underrated, it's going to be Chamber of Secrets. I think Josh made a really good point for Goblet of Fire.
I still disagree, but okay, that's 3-1, I suppose.
All right, Chamber of Secrets is going at number 4. Jory, since you got snubbed last, how about you nominate what movie should be at number 3?
Well, my next up would be Goblet of Fire.
I agree. I really don't think Goblet of Fire is a better movie than either Sorcerer's Stone or Prisoner of Azkaban here.
I do.
It's not going to be Sorcerer's Stone, Alden.
For me, it's between Goblet of Fire and Sorcerer's Stone.
If you don't want it to be Sorcerer's Stone, Prisoner of Azkaban is fine here for me as well.
Prisoner of Azkaban is not only the best adaptation from book to film, it's also the most unique and the best directed. It also is the best shot. I really think that if we're talking about movies here, Prisoner of Azkaban is the definitive Harry Potter movie.
Okay, we're not at number 1 yet, so...
But it's definitely not number 3.
We get there when we get there!
I don't know what more I could say about Goblet of Fire compared to Sorcerer's Stone.
I really like the Triwizard Tournament. It's one of my favorite sequences out of the entire franchise?
Actually, I didn't mention I really like seeing students from other schools. I think Goblet of Fire was
Yeah, the other schools was
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for Goblet of Fire for me, at least.
yeah, it definitely like is one of the best Harry Potter movies that expanded on the world. To learn that there were other schools was really interesting. And the Quidditch World Cup was a really cool start to the movie.
I didn't really like it as a kid, but as I watched it again, Hagrid and the giant, I forget her name, I kind of like that entire chemistry.
Yeah, Hagrid's love story is slept on. Yeah.
Goblet of Fire is definitely a very fun film, and I don't think that any of us are arguing that it isn't. The Triwizard Tournament is great. Seeing the students from other schools is great. Seeing Cedric Diggory, who's probably like the first relevant Hufflepuff in a movie, is great.
And the last relevant Hufflepuff.
The only Hufflepuff that matters.
Somebody is going to come at us in the comments for that.
Well, so it sounds like we've got 2 votes for Goblet of Fire going to number 3, and then what? 2 votes for Sorcerer's Stone going at number 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
All right. Well, Jory, do you want to call upon our designated tiebreaker?
Maybe I should call my mom. She likes Harry Potter a lot more.
Where's Megan?
She's over in the other room. You want me to ask her?
Yeah, ask Megan.
All right. Megan will be our tiebreaker then for number 3.
Well, what's number 4?
Number 4 was Chamber of Secrets. I'm sorry. I tried really hard to get it into the top 3.
Goblet of Fire or Sorcerer's
The other one is Prisoner of Azkaban. But that shouldn't be in the discussion yet.
Sorcerer's Stone.
Megan said Sorcerer's Stone.
Hell yeah.
Wait a minute. Sorcerer's Stone moving on, or Sorcerer's Stone lower than Goblet of Fire?
No, number 3. Number 3 should be Sorcerer's Stone. I think Goblet of Fire's been on the chopping block for a while. It's ratatouille its way to the top 2. I think Goblet of Fire is going at number 2.
Honestly,
It's Goblet of Fire. Prisoner of Azkaban is not going below Goblet of Fire.
yeah, no, these two are so close together for me, but I cannot make an argument for Goblet of Fire being better.
That's because it's not.
I like it better, but
We would have had a really interesting debate between Sorcerer's Stone and Prisoner of Azkaban. But no, we just had to have fucking Goblet of Fire move on. And now we're debating against one movie that is clearly better than the other.
I'm completely with Nate on this. This is such a shit list anymore.
How am I able to like politically drive my way through these lists every week?
Because you made a good case against Chamber of Secrets.
My mom did say Sorcerer's Stone goes above.
Wait, does Jory's mom use a veto?
I just think Goblet of Fire is a little funner to me. Maybe it's a little bit of nostalgia why it's number 1.
Maybe.
Prisoner of Azkaban, I mean, is also a fucking well-made movie. I think for a lot of people, this was their turning point where this is not only a fun little kids fantasy series, it's now a full-fledged, like, this is our generation Star Wars, this is our franchise. Like, this is going to be a big thing.
Yeah, no, Prisoner of Azkaban is crazy well done. I think the cinematography by Michael Saracen really just elevates it from all the other movies. It's not lit like a fucking sitcom. Like, all the other movies are lit very poorly. And this one is incredibly dynamic through and through. I think it's the first time you kind of start to look at these characters instead of being just kids. You start to look at them as maybe role models if you're watching it as a kid. And I think that Prisoner of Azkaban is really funny. I love all the moments where Hermione's cat is attacking Ron's stupid mouse. Like, there's great comedy bits too that a lot of people sleep on. Everyone looks at Prisoner of Azkaban as being too moody or being too dark for what it is. And I think it has the best blend it has the most consistent tone all the way through, even if that tone is dynamic.
You have the charm of the first 2 movies, and then you have some of the dark elements of the later movies into one really well-made film, and I think that's Prisoner of Azkaban. You're definitely right. This is kind of like the British Avengers sometimes when you see these great actors in this franchise.
Yeah, every important British actor is in this franchise at some point.
where's Simon Pegg?
Ian McKellen was going to be Dumbledore, and Sean Connery was going to be Gandalf once upon a time.
Jory, you seem awfully quiet. Are you okay?
I'm fine. I just feel like there's nothing to be said here. This isn't an argument. there's a lot of great stuff that I want to say about Prisoner of Azkaban, but I feel like it's wasted if I'm saying like, oh, Prisoner of Azkaban is better than Goblet of Fire for all of these reasons, because like, of fucking course it is. Like, I would have rather had an actual argument be here than I could be having some fun with it and playing devil's advocate a little bit, but I feel like it's like almost bullying.
Simon Pegg was not in Harry Potter.
Everyone's going to go through and say their top 8. So my number 8 was Deathly Hallows Part 1. My number 7 was Order of the Phoenix. My number 6 was Half-Blood Prince. My number 5 was Goblet of Fire. My number 4 was Sorcerer's Stone. My number 3 was Deathly Hallows Part 2. My number 2 was Chamber of Secrets. And my number 1 was Prisoner of Azkaban.
My number 8 is Chamber of Secrets. My number 7 is Half-Blood Prince. My number 6 is Order of the Phoenix. My number 5 is Deathly Hallows Part 2. My number 4 is Deathly Hallows Part 1. My number 3 is Sorcerer's Stone. My number 2 is Prisoner of Azkaban. And my number 1 is Goblet of Fire.
My number 8 is Order of the Phoenix. Number 7 is Deathly Hallows 1. Then Deathly Hallows 2. Goblet of Fire. Half-Blood Prince. Chamber of Secrets. Prisoner of Azkaban. And Sorcerer's Stone.
My number 8 is Deathly Hallows Part 1, then Order of the Phoenix, then Sorcerer's Stone, then Part 2, then Chamber of Secrets, Half-Blood Prince, Prisoner of Azkaban, and Goblet of Fire.
This was fun. Thank you, everyone, for listening to our Harry Potter ranking video. If you'd be interested, definitely follow us. We're on all the streaming platforms, Spotify, iTunes, you name it. Just go to anchor.fm/Duel of the Takes and find which platform you like to listen to podcasts on. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like the video, leave a comment below. What's your ranking for the Harry Potter movies? Is Prisoner Azkaban the best, or are you more in the Goblet of Fire rank? Or are you a real controversial individual who thinks Half-Blood Prince should have taken it? Just let us know your opinions below. This is the opinion movie debate show, so we want to hear your opinions too. And thank you all for watching.